to Directly to You, episode 194. I'm AJ of fanatixfour. It's our podcast, joined by Parker of fanatixfour also. You can support all of those things that I just mentioned by going to youtube.com/fanatixfour or twitch.tv/fanatixfour and giving $4.99. And it don't even got to be yours if you're on twitch.tv specifically. You could take it from Jeff Bezos if you give him money for Amazon Prime. You like to take your Amazon, your Twitch account, you get free Prime Gaming sub every month. You got to remember to renew it like Parker does sometimes. It's a good time. And in exchange for that, you get loyalty badges, you get emotes, you get free Switch keys from time to time, you get access to the supporters only Discord where we record this show. And you could be part of the peanut gallery. You could talk about Kirby while you're driving. Also, you can listen to us on YouTube for this show on youtube.com/directly to you or on podcast services at anchor.fm/DTY, which links to all the other podcast services like Apple Podcasts. People still call it iTunes, which I think is weird because it hasn't been iTunes for like close to a decade now, which is cursed. Also Stitcher, Spotify, Google Podcasts.
Your mom's phone, maybe.
True. Just download it. If you listen on one, check out the other one because the numbers help. Thank you.
Yeah, we love numbers.
True.
We love the number 2, Breath of the Wild.
True.
Number 2, for example. But unfortunately, we don't love it paired with the year 2023.
Yeah,
but
I disagree.
Maybe we do actually.
I do love that. I love threes all over Breath of the Wild too. To be completely honest, this was another good week for us. Reading the tea leaves.
Yes, indeed. This is one for a long time. My stance has been okay. But the headline obviously is Breath of the Wild 2. It had a 2022 date, and now they've said spring 2023. We got 1.3 seconds of new video footage. It's like 5 seconds maybe. True video footage for it. But yeah, there you go. There it is. It's in 2023 now. And my opinion the whole time was like, you know what? It probably is going to get delayed, but I'm just going to just assume that it's not. And like, if it does, totally fine. But like, just for the fun of it.
For me, it's always been a thing of like, I don't know where they're at.
Yeah.
But, like the first thing like I'll be like, but Zelda games always get delayed. Always. They always get delayed. I don't know for sure if this will happen with this one, but keep that in mind. They always get delayed. And
I think honestly, my biggest thing was a little bit frustration with any of the people that were like, well, it's definitely getting delayed because Zelda games always, which it did, and it's not that they're wrong because it did happen, but it's just like, but it could have just as easily
it could have not. Exactly.
It's just a silly thing.
Just because you recognize a pattern that exists does not mean that you are on the inside, and presenting that like you are is wild. Like people that are indignant about it. Like, you're an idiot. Zelda games always get delayed. So this one, obviously, it's like, all right, it's okay, dude.
Yeah.
But like,
they did. But it did. Here we are.
And it did.
Yeah. So I've got a couple questions and directions to go with this part of the conversation. Number 1, what do we think? I don't know. What are we thinking about the game at this point? It'll have been 6 years since the last one. So like, just how does this frame or not frame any expectations or anything like that?
Me personally, I feel like there's a lot of people that like really wanted this game to come out this year, like a lot, like to the point where they're ready to fight people for saying that it won't. But me, like, I get more excited for this game the more that they delay it. To be entirely honest with you.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say because like part of me is like kind of like, can they nail what I like about Breath of the Wild again?
Recapture the magic.
Yeah, like the thing that it, like, granted, the further that I get from Breath of the Wild, like playing Breath of the Wild, I played again and I'm like, oh shoot, this game is sick. And I like learn new stuff about it all the time, right? Yeah. But like when I'm like the amount of time that I get to the point where it's like, all right, I get it. Like gets shorter every time. And like I
Mhm.
did, like after the 250 hours or whatever that I was actively playing it the first time that I played through it,
Mhm.
I did come to the point where it's like, all right, I got what I got. I mean, what I like, I got enough of this game. I understand where they're going
Mhm.
here, and I understand a lot of the like things that like super surprised me before. You know, like there was not really that many moments that shocks me anymore.
Mhm.
And it was like hard for me to believe that they would be able to build off of this game and do that again. You know,
Yeah.
like there's the thing that everybody wants them to do where it's like, okay, just do this game again, and then give me dungeons or temples or
Yeah.
whatever. And for me, it's like, yeah, that would be neat or whatever, but like I want to be able to like be shocked again. I want
Yeah.
to be able to like ask the game a question and expect it to tell me no and be shocked
Mhm.
that it didn't, you know.
I think the
um
thing that the game, like, if they were to do that, then there would I had words in my head that made so much sense and they sort of slipped away, but whatever. In essence, like the game is doing I words. Oh well, doesn't matter.
Talking.
We're gonna just keep going with the words winning. Basically, like the game is just gonna be very good, and I'm excited about that. Carry
Mhm.
on with your things, and I'll come back to my words shortly.
Yes. So the longer that they delay this game, the more faith I
Yeah,
have that they too feel that way.
yeah, yeah.
Because I think that like, and I'm tired of talking about this at this point, but with like Elden Ring in the zeitgeist, like now with this getting delayed, people are like, oh, well, Elden Ring definitely is going to get Game of the Year now.
Right.
And then people on the other side of it where it's like, oh, well, good for them because Elden Ring already had Game of the Year locked up. You know, like I'm it, like, to me as somebody that looks at this game and is like more trepidatious about Breath of the Wild, or was about Breath of the Wild 2 or the sequel or whatever they want to call it, in the sense that like how could they do that again? Um like that part of the game to me, the like
Mhm.
me being somebody else, like I don't know about this. I don't think
Just
people,
relieved.
yeah, like I don't think other people that are in this camp that like Elden Ring like can Breath of the Wild can learn so much from this game. Like I don't
Mhm.
think those people look at that game, look at Breath of the Wild in the same way that I do. Right? Like
Mhm.
they look at it as like it's a very good open world game. That's how
Right.
they look at it, because that's what Elden Ring is. It's a very good open world game.
Yeah.
um so and then there's like the other people that are like, oh, they must be playing Elden Ring and learning from it, and I'm like, I don't know how. I genuinely do not know what Breath of the Wild can learn from that game. I don't,
Mm.
because they're very different. That's the main thing. Like the main draw of Elden Ring is nothing like the main draw of Breath of the Wild to me.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like, yeah, not having played it, I think the heart of it in like the exploration and secrets and like not knowing how stuff works, well, like there's some of that that's similar, but the approach to it between the two games is super different to where I don't know that it would, yeah, it wouldn't translate across particularly well. I remember what I
Mhm.
was going to say before, by the way.
Yes.
And it ties into all that too, is like if they were to do what, what some are suggesting of like, yeah, just same game, but like just putting some new stuff in it, basically, like it would change what's in the game, but what's in the game isn't the thing that's as amazing as it is. It's how the game works. Like it's the
Mhm.
foundation of it. And
Exactly.
it's like the yeah, it's that bit. So like if you just change what's in the game, then the foundation is it'll feel fun for a couple minutes, like, oh, I found a new area, and like exploration's still gonna be fun. And like you could put new items in there and whatever. But like if you add, it's kind of like Mario Maker, where like you add three items that interact with all these other things, and suddenly it changes the whole
Yeah.
game. So like just adding a hook shot or whatever, kind of generic idea, but like just adding a hook shot does this, that, and the other to everything else in the game. um and I'm not saying like that's the thing to change it, but like adding a whole dungeon, adding four whole dungeons wouldn't change the game in the same way that adding one functionality that
Mhm.
like digs into the roots of everything and
Right,
changes
like
the
they
foundation.
need to add because like things like a temple or whatever would be a static thing that you
Mhm.
interact with. It doesn't interact back with you.
Yeah.
The thing that is the most impressive thing with these games is that all the core elements of the game interact with each other in multiple different ways. It's like, okay, well, what happens when fire in this scenario against this enemy, and like this is happening in the environment, and there's this type of weather, and it's this time of day, and blah, like that sort of stuff. That is the sort of like, I think that a lot of like the more magical elements of the game, like that has the potential to be that, like how does that interact with the rest of the world? And is there more things like that? And does like being underground or like underwater or whatever they do in this regard, does that add another thing that interacts with everything else in multiple different ways?
I think I generally feel the same. I mean, I do feel the same way in that, like, the more time they work on the game, it's the same reason I feel like, yeah, take as long as you want on Metroid Prime 4, because like I don't want that game to come out and do okay for the franchise. I want it to, a franchise that I've only really played one game in. I want it to like blow up that franchise and be the best thing that it can be, whatever.
Right.
So like same kind of thing for this. Like I know that when they went into the DLC, they had ideas for things they wanted to do. And then in the DLC, they're like, oh, well, we're not going to do this. So like, basically they keep having ideas with Breath of the Wild, and I want them to just do all those ideas, especially if they don't anticipate that the next game after this is, that this is going to be the end of the kind of Breath of the Wild formula or whatever, or that open air kind of approach.
I think that would be insanity.
But like, it within what it is, like if they try to reinvent it a little, because this is like more of a direct sequel, quote unquote. So if there's ways that like they would have to do something more from the ground up moving forward, whereas this is more iterative and whatever, then I want them to throw everything at the wall while they're doing it.
It would be super hype if like that's like this is them like if Breath of the Wild is like the metaphorical like 8-bit era, it's the NES, and then SNES is 16-bit, and that's just that last generation but better. And then 64 came out. It's like, okay, we got to like reinvent everything all over again. I hope this is the 16-bit era and they blow everything up again with the next Zelda game. I think that would be the best timeline. But like the like middling, like I'll accept this is if they keep on this if this becomes a new Ocarina of Time that they beat into the ground until they have to reinvent it again 20 years from now.
Yeah. And I mean, if they keep taking this amount of time, then like functionally theoretically, at least, the mechanics that they're using, if those are the things that change, like those from game to game can change the game so much more than they could in the past.
Right.
So that's, that's good, because that's like the core of it more so than dungeons or whatever. Cause like, I don't care if specifically shrines come back in the same way or, like there is no real like gameplay structure in a big picture the same way that the other Zelda games had. So like there's just a lot more wiggle room to work with. The one thing I'll say is the only reason I'm disappointed that it's not out this year is just the dumb like 2022 versus 2017 thing of like, look at all these games.
But also part
like,
of me is happy about that. I'm not gonna lie.
Honestly, yeah, because like at this point, if it came out anywhere near Scarlet and Violet and I get sucked into Scarlet and Violet, I would be sad because like that would just be hard to like, I mean, I would drop it for this game probably.
See,
I don't want to have to.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the opposite, but I wouldn't be mad about that. Well, part of it would be annoying because stream, like that would be annoying because like you want to play whatever, like I mean a little bit, because like a lot of stream for me is like I just play what I want to play. Right. But at the same time, like if there's something that I want to play and it's relevant, I'd rather play the thing that I want to play that is relevant than the one that is not. But if I wasn't worried about streaming, it would be hype to like be in that situation and then just play through the one that I want, which would be Pokemon. I would drop Breath of the Wild, even though like gameplay wise, Breath of the Wild is probably more up my alley. I just care more about Pokemon as a franchise. It would be hype to be able to just play it when I'm done, like I just have 2 games that I can lose myself in for 3 months at a time or whatever. That'd be hype. But now I'm not forced to make that decision.
Yeah.
Which is
I mean,
pretty cool.
honestly, I think it would have it could have had Elden Ring versus Horizon or Breath of the Wild versus Horizon kind of situation in either direction for multiple people.
Yeah, I
where,
don't know
like,
about that. I don't know about that. I think
I mean,
that,
I think
like,
people would still buy both of them. I don't think
yeah.
that's in contention, but
Oh,
I
you're
think
talking
whether
about
or
like
not
the zeitgeist, like where the zeitgeist was at.
zeitgeist, and also just like, you know, I think there would be a lot of people that whichever one came out first, if they were within, you know, a short amount of time of each other, people that would be like, well, I'm not playing that one because I'm playing this one,
Mhm.
kind of a thing.
Yeah,
And
but
then putting
I
like
think
unfair
that
comparisons.
I think it would
because of
be
it.
like a more even keel situation because like Elden Ring and Horizon don't have the dedicated fan bases that really just Pokemon, right? Like I
Right.
think like
Yeah.
Pokemon gameplay wise, I mean Breath of the Wild gameplay wise, and like it being like a watershed moment and stuff like that. Like
Mhm.
Breath of the Wild, the sequel is definitely going to be a more impressive game. Like
Yeah.
I don't think
For
that
sure.
there's any like denying that. But Pokemon is still Pokemon. So like people are still going to be talking about it because it's Pokemon.
Mhm.
And Breath of the Wild would just, you know, be Breath of the Wild for the sake of it.
Yeah.
I think that like prior to Breath of the Wild, if anything, I would be scared for like Zelda.
Oh, for sure.
launching
Yeah.
around that, just
And
because, again,
I guess to
Pokemon is Pokemon.
clarify again,
But
I'm not even saying like I'd be scared for Pokemon or for one or the other. I just think it would be like a lot of unnecessary bickering between people who are like, well, I was playing Pokemon, but I dropped that because I'm playing Zelda. Or people are like,
yeah,
well, I'm playing Pokemon, but I'm not going to play that Zelda
the
game.
thing
Look
is,
at this
like,
Pokemon game. It's like,
I think that
guys,
that's going to exist regardless of when they launch.
you're
Because people
you're not
complain,
too
like
wrong.
Sword and Shield came out a whole freaking 2 years later, and people are
Mhm.
still like, Breath of the Wild did this and blah, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
So it's like,
Yeah.
because I guess it's dumb. That said, I hope the game comes out March 3rd. That would be hype.
Would be indeed.
Would be hype.
Yeah. Random fun fact. As a result, Nintendo stocks dropped 6% because of this.
They're
So
so dumb.
bunch of dumb people. There you go.
Stupid.
But I mean, I do wonder, yeah, what else
What else
the
do they got?
holiday season has.
It's crazy. It's crazy that like we spent all this year talking about like, man, this year is insane, blah blah, right? Like there's so much hype stuff. There's like even now, like as the year exists, like even without Breath of the Wild, it still is in contention with what people said was like is like the best
untouchable.
Year. Like like that whole thing. There is objectively more high selling, like critically acclaimed franchises that are being catered to in Nintendo's lineup this year than there was in any other year leading up to it, objectively. Without Breath of the Wild, there's just one less of those, you know, like because 2017 we got Breath of the Wild, which was a new Zelda game, and we got Mario Odyssey, which was a new Mario game, and we got Splatoon 2. Everything else was new IP or it was a re-release. And then there's Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but again, like Xenoblade Chronicles isn't in the place of a Zelda, you know. That would be more in the B tier franchise place. But we have multiple S tier franchises at this point that are being catered. And like pre Breath of the Wild, Zelda wasn't an S tier franchise. Now it is, you know. So I think that like even with what we currently have, if they don't have anything else, which is doubtful, you're still insane.
I would not be surprised if there was a new Mario platformer of some variety this year. I don't know whether I'd lean towards it being 2D or 3D. For some reason, I would think more likely 2D. I don't know, maybe not, but I
think I would be more excited for 2D, to be honest.
Interesting.
Unless it's I like 3D games more. Like 3D Mario games more, but it's been longer since we got a shake up in that regard.
Yeah, as long as it's a shake up, I could see that. I mean, I think I'd be hard pressed to say that I'd be more excited for 2D than 3D.
Justin says, what are the other S tier stuff this year for Nintendo? Pokemon, which is S++, Splatoon, which is S for sure. There now currently, I don't think that Mario Strikers I think is A. maybe B+. That's
Yeah.
B. Yeah.
I mean, Kirby is
Kirby's
probably
like,
this year.
yeah, A's probably, yeah. Kirby, I feel like this is the year that
I don't know if we're
Kirby
talking
could
quality
be.
or sales
Yeah,
on
I'm talking
this metric,
sales.
but
I'm
okay,
talking
gotcha.
sales. But yeah, like that right there, Pokemon alone is accounting for what? Just wondering, as Zelda was A in your mind. What? No, Zelda was S.
Mm-hmm.
Zelda now is an S. Before, Zelda was probably like a B.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
probably.
Zelda was probably like a B before that.
Yeah, could be.
Because Zelda is in the like.
I mean, for a hot minute, yeah, especially like Skyward Sword sold
literally
what,
the
3
only the
million or
only
something.
Zelda game that, like, in the context of Nintendo, sold S tier levels of sales is Ocarina, and even that had the asterisk of like, when you combine all releases,
Yeah,
you know,
right.
like all these other franchises are selling 10 million copies at least, no questions asked. Zelda just got to that just now with Breath of the
Yeah, it
Wild.
is crazy just in general, like that. I mean, on the Switch, for the most part, basically every tier that something was in terms of its sales, it just
It
gets
lifted up
automatically get notched up one.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, and also for what it's worth, this isn't an S
Switch
tier one,
Sports
like,
also, yeah. That
Switch
could be. I
Sports.
don't know.
Oh, that's true.
I think that it could go either way, because
Yeah.
Ring Fit kind of showed that, like, yeah, the Wii brand, like that whole thing, like that still is a thing with people.
Yeah.
So I could see Switch Sports also,
Yeah.
pulling those.
I mean, especially
numbers.
after Ring Fit and all that. It's for the record too. I only recently, like, I've heard the term blue ocean for a long time, and I never like understood the full context of like what blue ocean mean. I got it, but I heard somebody talk about red ocean.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, I get it. And it was like that's, the console wars for like Xbox and PlayStation it's red ocean stuff, where basically it's like it's a bloody war zone of like trying to fight for the same eyeballs and the same people that are like trying to people who are interested in games, and therefore you have to win them over to you instead of somebody else. Whereas blue ocean, the reason it's called blue ocean, which is the part I didn't know, is because it's not that. It's just anybody else that's like, no, they're not even interested in games at all, but like they could be because they're interested in this other stuff, and so they could have a fun time. So yeah, that was a fun little thing to learn. I still plan on making a video about that one of these days, because I don't know, mostly because I'm curious about it.
Last thing about the 2017 thing, Justin said that there's two for 2017, Splatoon 2 and Odyssey. Splatoon 2 is in the same boat as Zelda, I think. Even though, I mean, although I would say before Splatoon 2, Splatoon was like a A-, and then it became a S tier. Mario is like the only thing that came into that year being clouded. Everything else grew with the Switch.
Right. I mean, yeah, because it was an interesting time, because there were so many things where it was like people didn't know how exciting Splatoon was for the most part. Like a lot of the people that were like really into it from the get-go were people who
it was only huge in Japan.
Yeah, right. People who had a Wii U and were excited about it, people in Japan, and people who were like, I hear this is pretty good, and then started playing it. And then since then it's gained way more traction. So it's going to have, immediately way more sales for Splatoon 3 than ever before. But
yeah.
Like,
I think that it's going to continue the trend of like Splatoon. The first Splatoon was like 5-6 million, like low 6, high 5. Splatoon 2 was 12 million. I think this one's going to be 15 to 17.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
Oh, for Switch Sports, Trev asks, lack of boxing on sports maybe points to a new ARMS. Interesting.
Maybe. I think that they're going to add boxing, though, to be honest.
Yeah, I think so too. I think in general they're going to just keep adding sports for a while. I don't remember who I was. Maybe it was the Kit and Krista podcast. No, something else. I was listening to somebody that feels in the know. Maybe it was just like Per Schneider or something like that. But talking about ARMS in some way, and someone was like, ARMS sequel, and whoever it was seemed to have some tidbit of like, oh yeah, no. Like that.
Oh yeah,
like,
maybe that. I think that might have been. Well, I don't want to say, because I'm not sure. So.
But I was like, oh, okay, interesting. Because I couldn't know either way, but like,
I can see it, but
yeah,
I don't know. I think that ARMS is more like dependent on if the studio wants to make it
right.
than it is
Yeah.
like
I did find
Nintendo
out
wanting
though
them.
from the Krista podcast, they were talking about like internal. They're like, man, yeah, the names were, triangle strategy and stuff like that. It's like, man, those are terrible names. And I guess I didn't realize, but like ARMS was just a project name for the game, and then they were like, whatever, that's the name of the game. Apparently, was not aware of that. I was like, oh, okay, I guess
Makes
they
sense.
just
I
named
mean,
it ARMS for whatever reason.
it
But
was the same thing with Triangle Strategy.
yeah, exactly. Octopath Traveler
and Octopath. Yeah,
probably lots of others too. So yeah, okay. So, and speaking of that, so talking 2022 still, Breath of the Wild is delayed. That's, it is what it is. Probably will be, or definitely will be a better game of it. Oh, my favorite meme this week was, because people were posting the whole Miyamoto, a rushed game is forever bad, but a delayed game will eventually be good, blah, 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 that thing. And somebody reposted the picture with the quote, keep my wife's name.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I saw that.
I tried to explain it to Ashley, but like the layers of, I don't know.
She only knows one part of that.
Exactly. Yeah. Just because like I'm so entrenched in the seeing the Miyamoto quote part of it all the time. That apparently wasn't even Miyamoto, as we learned from Did You Know Gaming recently. So interesting stuff. But so yeah, 2022. Typically, there's still a Zelda every year. There are some that seem most likely, but what do you think as far as what we're most medium and least likely to still potentially see this year for Zelda?
This is like a situation that I think people put a little bit too much stake in, because it's like they there was like that whole thing about internally floating around that they want to make sure that they have a Zelda game every year post Breath of the Wild success, right? So like there's a lot of people saying like, oh, well, Breath of the Wild fell out of this year, so they got to slot something in this year. I don't know if that's true. And it really just depends on if they actually do feel that way, right? Yeah. And if like things that we think might have been in the works or could be in the works are actually, like they could do Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. That seems like it's like a layup, because they were like experimenting with those games when they were working on Breath of the Wild, so like they have it working, like on Switch and Wii U and all that stuff. So they could relatively easily port that over, but like, will they? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that seems like the easiest option for sure, just because like at this point, not say porting games is easy, but they've done it before, so then they know how to do it again. And like you said, they've got it working on Switch and stuff already. So to me, that makes sense as something that just like, go ahead, like if they feel like that, it makes more sense to do it before it. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, so I mean, I think I'd put that in as like the easiest option. Below that, I mean, like, I don't know that they would have like we could get a 2D Zelda game this year, theoretically, like some kind of remake or something like that. But I don't know that it would be likely that we had Breath of the Wild 2 was supposed to come out this year, and there was also a 2D game that would then also be ready for this year. That seems a little less likely to me, but
yeah,
not impossible.
Granted, I mean, I guess they could have had Grezzo on something,
Yeah,
like I could see like it could do like a link to the past sort of situation. I mean, they could honestly do like Link to the Past and then port between worlds, do like a double pack of that. That would be neat. But
yeah,
like as far as like how likely it is, I don't think that it's like any more likely than anything else. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because like to me, Zelda, even though like there were rumors of that, it doesn't feel like that is a thing in reality, especially after it seemed like it was. Because like Link's Awakening came out, right, and it sold more than like a general Zelda game would, but it didn't even do like the 10 million,
right?
So
yeah, I mean, and it probably is one of those things that's more determined by precedent even than, or at least it's, bolstered by precedent of like, well, but we have had one every year. I mean, we've said that plenty of times, but like, which is true. We have had one every year. So, but that it's just not a guarantee.
Yeah.
And especially if they planned on this being the one, moving it back and stuff. So it seems like to me, unless, most likely Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD, second most likely, maybe some kind of spin-off that they planned on having anyway, just because. And third most likely some kind of 2D game with a more likely remake of something else, less likely
a new
2D game of some sort, which that's something I'd love for somebody to ask Nintendo about, or Aonuma or something like that. Like, do you guys intend to, the same way they asked HAL Laboratories about 3D and 2D Kirby, and HAL was like, yeah, we're still planning on doing 2D Kirby eventually. What's their take on top-down Zelda and its longevity or lack thereof?
It'd be hype if they did like an expansion pass thing, and they did like demakes. Like, how they did that prototype of Breath of the Wild in the like it was 3D, but they like basically remade the original Legend of Zelda with like Breath of the Wild mechanics. If they put that in the expansion pass, that'd be hype.
That'd be super cool.
People be mad because it's like, why isn't this in the it's an NES game, even though it's not. Because it's a 3D game. But that'd be dope. I would be down.
That'd be super cool. I'd love seeing more things like that. I think, again, I stand strong that by September, by the time that the expansion pack is a year old, September, it came out in October, I think, right?
Yes.
By the time it's a year old, it's gonna be like, it's worth its money. At this point,
I think it already is.
Oh, it totally is. Yeah,
because of Mario Kart.
Right.
That like I think tipped it over for me.
Yeah. I think it'll be tricky to convince anybody of that's already in the know, because like I think at that point you're
I know
probably
people,
in and out.
multiple, in fact, that like dogmatically were like, the expansion pass isn't pack isn't worth it. I'm just gonna buy everything separately. They bought the Animal Crossing DLC, $25. They bought the expansion pass. I mean the bonus course pack for Mario Kart, another $25. You know what you could have got for that $50?
Yeah.
Dumb.
And I think the argument to me too of like that, well, what if in 10 years I still want to be playing that stuff? Like, after paying every single year for this, I don't mind paying $25 for the one that I still want, like if I still want to be playing Mario Kart, then like, I'll pay $25 for the one that I still want to play at that point. And then it won't feel like much of anything then either. But I don't think the two are mutually exclusive. So and I do think we're just going to be getting more and more stuff on the service to where it's going to continue. It's going to be more of those kinds of things where it's like, do I want to be buying all these things when, maybe not. So, yeah. So that's, but I think it's still like, even at that point, it's totally reasonable. Like we said, a lot of times that it's not worth it to, that it could be just not a justifiable price.
Right. If
an individual
things,
person,
if like actually like not the people that like I described of the like, you bought Animal Crossing and you also bought Mario Kart, I think objectively it is worth it. You should have bought the expansion pack. But like if you're not interested in anything that is in it, why spend the extra money?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So I mean, I'm curious, particularly when we find out if there's going to be like Mario Party DLC. But I can tell you where we're not going to be finding that out: E3.
True.
Because it's dead.
I am shocked. I would have never. E3 gone. Guys,
it is.
Egad.
Yeah. So
Good
E3
race.
not happening. We've got a couple questions on this specifically too, so we can touch on those, but I don't know, not a whole lot to like explain here, but things to chat about for sure. but basically it's just not happening. So like the question is, and then, also, is it being replaced by Summer Games Fest? We'll kind of touch on both of those things at the same time. Because Summer Games Fest is happening. But yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts first off?
Good. First of all, I hope E3 never comes back. ESA is garbage and somebody else needs to do it. Because like, and also I don't know. I hate the like, I hate so many parts of this where people like want E3 so bad for what it used to feel like.
Right. Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
And like at the end of E3, this is my timeline from a lot of these same people that want E3 to remain a thing. Either they're like, oh man, I don't know why X, Y, and Z company came. So-and-so won. Everybody else was trash. They shouldn't even have came here. That was a terrible E3. Can't wait for next one. Like that's my timeline. As people complaining about the existence of E3. But their defense for E3 is like, it brings all the gamers together. It's like everybody announcing stuff all at the same time. It's gamer Christmas. But it's just a super contentious time, really. Because like, or you literally don't, or you're like you, right? Where like you care about maybe 2 of the shows per year, like legitimately, because you don't have the other consoles until recently. And you're like, I'm not watching a Ubisoft show, EA, whatever. I'm not going to play any of their games. Like there's so many people that are in that camp where it's like, I'm just a PlayStation gamer, or I'm just so it's like either you're like you and you're indifferent to everything else genuinely, or you're like a super fan of one thing and you watch that one thing and you spend the rest of your time hating on everybody else. How does that bring anybody together?
Yeah, right. I think honestly, here's the thing. The only good thing about what, not even E3 specifically, because obviously not, but just that, like that time or whatever, is kind of just knowing that like this is when things are going to happen. And like, that's nice. And feeling like if any show is a bust, at least there's another one, and you can keep that rolling till it's all over. And if all of them are a bust, then at least you had hope for a couple of days. So like there's something to be said for literally that, I guess. But yeah, generally, I mean, but you're totally right though, that's
it doesn't have to be an E3 thing. Like that could literally just like it's replaced by the fact that like people know, like, or they thought they knew with Nintendo. It's like, oh, we can always expect the January direct or whatever, or now like, oh, even if there's no E3, like Nintendo will definitely have a June event, digital event or whatever, right? That still can exist without the construct that is E3.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that is the thing too, is like it's disappointing because of the nostalgia. It's disappointing when it happens because the expectations is based on the nostalgia, and then the disappointment is also based on the comparing it to prior years, and so again on nostalgia. And then at this point, when it's not happening, it's also comparing it to the years that were the hope of it being as good as, the golden years or something like that. But that's nothing to say that it was going to be. So, yeah, I mean, basically, all I hope is that we just have a fun time.
I came out on the other end,
friends along the way,
because we talk about a lot how like I'm pretty like indifferent towards nostalgia. Like it does not form like my opinions on that. Like there's a lot of stuff that like I grew up with that like I still like, and like, but me growing up with this specific big fan, but like the specific games that I grew up with, I can stay with my whole chest, that game sucks. Like I liked it when it was good. It is no longer good. But now I'm on the other end of like actively thinking nostalgia is poison. So like, especially in the game industry, like it's super toxic. Because there are stuff that like it's terrible for people. Like E3 has literally done harm to people. But because nostalgia, and I want to feel fuzzy inside for remembering when I cuddled with my video game blanket with my friend after school to watch the showcase, like that type of stuff. Like, I don't think that's worth more than the people that like have made me hate this organization. Like, we can still have the good parts of what that conference is without that, and it could be better and like actually not toxic if individual and for the companies that work on these things to get to this like specific target of like, oh, we could just work on our game like normal and release our game like normal, but we have to like crunch to get this E3 demo out there so people are hype about the vertical slice.
Right.
That would be a lot better if they're able to work with their own timelines and say like, okay, for our showcase it's going to be at this time of the year because that is when our development cycle lines up.
No, I mean, I think that's a big part of it too, is like, it is, whereas it is nice, the concept of like having a big old info dump all at once, more often than not, it ends up being that like some people or some companies have the bandwidth, maybe, like Nintendo generally has the bandwidth to have enough projects going on at a time that they can have something substantial. And there are other companies that can have that. And some years they even still don't, that's not guaranteed that they will, even with the however many projects they have going on. So, there's that. But more often than not, other companies, like Capcom just doesn't necessarily have enough projects that they'll have a whole showcase's worth of exciting things to show you at any given time, whereas, but if they can kind of like keep those in their backlog and then announce all of them later, they can do a showcase later, or they can, announce them throughout the year, or put them into other people's presentations, or whatever that looks like. There's flexibility there. So yeah, it's just not. Yeah, I don't know. I agree.
It's not great. It's not great.
I mean, selfishly, I still hope Nintendo has June Nintendo Direct.
I mean, it'd be dope. I don't care when. I don't care. But like I know that they're going to announce stuff at some point, and I know that like based off of like how they've worked for decades now, like they probably will have stuff ready for June because they've worked for that target for decades now. So it's like, that makes sense for them to have something June now, but like if we get to a point where it works better for them to do it in August, like it could be in August. I don't really care when on the calendar it is. And I think that like at the end of the day, like I would be way more excited for the world where every month a company has something exciting to show than for it to just be a week of everybody trying to announce whatever they can.
Yeah, especially if the things that are happening throughout those months are of higher caliber anyway.
Right.
Like that pans out better. Yeah. It's an interesting, I think the other thing with E3, is there are things that it accomplishes that, people remiss not existing, such as like game developers meeting each other and having the show floor and stuff like that. But those are things that, like, I mean, we've said this before, but can be relegated to just other places. And like maybe PAX can't accomplish all of those things, but it can do the show floor stuff. And maybe games developer conference doesn't accomplish some of the things, but it can have some, like split those things up into one place where a company isn't paying tens of millions of dollars to show something that they could just as easily show online for free, functionally, like obviously the development of the presentation and stuff isn't free.
People to do that, it costs money.
But as far as like flying people out
it's
there and meals and hotels and show floor, like I'd rather that money go to games easily. Or even like I'd rather that money go to like other kinds of marketing.
You know how many people you can hire for a year for the cost of one big E3 conference? You know how many people could have jobs? How many game developers you add to your project?
They could hire us as consultants.
True.
For game ideas.
They could hire me for 1/100th of what they spend for their E3 conference every year.
There you go.
Easily. And I would be making a lot of money.
Yeah, very true. But yeah, so there you go. And it is, yeah, theoretically Summer Games Fest is gonna happen from Jeff Keighley. But I think that's the other thing I'll say with that with Summer Games Fest is in some ways it's kind of accomplishing the goal, like you were saying, of like more things that are more spread out. But I think they need to maybe pick and choose. It's kind of like when you have a Nintendo Direct and you put in a bunch of extra stuff that's bad in it as well. Or, you know, like talk about one game for 30 minutes or not literally 30 minutes, but like talk about one game for 5 minutes or whatever. Like, I think basically with Summer Games Fest, I think it's worth having like these are like the big shows and maybe these are some of the smaller shows so that it feels like something that's associated with the Summer Games Fest is still an exciting thing. Because otherwise it just waters it down where it's like, which ones do I pay attention to? And then that's kind of tough to follow. So yeah.
Yep.
We'll see how that happens. But I don't know. While we wait around, we can play NSO with the 3 new games that we got.
True. Well, actually, didn't we get more? There's like special games too.
Special games.
There's like special versions of like.
Oh,
I think
like
they did.
SP.
Yeah. Hold on, wait.
I missed that. Yeah, go for it. The ones that we did get for sure are Dig Dug 2, Mappy Land, and Earthworm Jim 2. And I have never played
special versions for Super Mario World and Super Punch Out.
Oh wait, I need to play Super Punch Out. I've never played that. Man, there's a bunch of games I need to go and play for the first time.
With the former, wait, which one? I don't know which one they're talking about. Are they talking about Mario? I guess they're talking about Mario World. You start the game with 99 lives, a completely unlocked overworld, and make over the Super Mario World seas when you finish the special world is already available. With Super Punch Out, all of the circuits, including the special circuit, are available. So it's just like a autocomplete, like new game plus sort of situation.
All right, that's fine. Yeah. I never know how, I mean, that feels like a pretty good way to just like, if you feel like going in and playing it, but don't like, you know, you've played a bunch of times before and you want to play a specific level.
Yeah, you
actually
play through
great for capturing content or for video capture. Like I specifically want, you know, Castle of World 7 or something.
I don't know what that is, but
I don't know. Like there's a castle level in World 7. Is that, I think that's Bowser's World in that game, or it's the Donut Land. I'm pretty sure it's Bowser's World. So
true.
Yeah, there's those games. Good job.
Nice.
I don't know. Dig Dug actually looks kind of cool. It does the thing. I don't know what it's called. There's some other game that does a similar kind of thing where it's like you kind of break off one specific area of, and then any
like the
enemies
physics
that are there, kinda. But it doesn't look like that's it.
Dig Dug I'm 2, just gonna. I don't think I ever played Dig Dug 2.
I've never played Dig Dug 1 or 2.
I played Dig Dug 1. Is Dig Dug 2 good?
No clue. It looks like, from what I thought I knew about Dig Dug 1, it looks like just an entirely different game.
Oh, that might be cringe.
I'm gonna look up Dig Dug. Yeah, entirely different game. Because Dig Dug is like you're going tunneling down, kind of like SteamWorld Dig.
Yep.
This one,
which is crazy. That's a crazy thing to say.
I mean, I know that the comparison's in the other way, but this, you know, we're trying to establish the opposite one. So, but yeah, this one is more like you're on here. I'll share my screen. No, I don't feel like it. You're on an island. You can look it up if you want to. You're on a little island thing, and there's holes, and you like dig little lines through them, and there's enemies wandering around, and you can like kind of cut off a piece of the island by like being like click, 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 and then click, 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 and then if there's any enemies on that part, they like crumble down.
Okay, so it's kind of like in the original Dig Dug, there's like a rock inside the ground, and then you dig under and like the ground, and then you go past it so that it drops down.
Yeah,
and it doesn't
that's
drop
the one.
on you. Yeah.
Yep. So you're just doing this is the overworld view of a similar concept or something like that. Mappy Land, I don't know. I looked at it and it is. I don't care.
I think I saw that in like a Let's Play or something. It was like Game Grumps or something in that like genre of content in 2011 or whatever. That is my only exposure to their game.
There's a game that it looks like to me. Is it a cat or is it a bird? Oh, I think it's a bird. There's a Sega Genesis game, Flicky. Yeah, Sega Genesis game called Flicky, where you play a bird and you're trying to jump around on platforms. And it
Isn't
pretty
that
much looks.
game? I don't know if that's the one that I'm thinking about, but is that the one that's in like one of the Sega Master Collect, like the
100%.
Sonic Master Collection thingies?
I only know this game because this is like 2016 or something like that. I bought. So it's before the NES Mini and any of these consoles were any good.
This box art is terrifying. I'm gonna put it in the podcast chat.
I bought or maybe I asked for Christmas or something like that. Like, yeah, it might have been Christmas 2015 going into 2016. Oh my goodness, that is terrifying box art. Oh, I was looking at a different one. That's awful. Oh no. Oh. Yeah, that's bad. Long story short, yeah, I played it on the Sega Genesis Mini back whenever with a friend. And
yeah,
it was kind of fun.
I played
just
this on
Sonic
Gem Collections on the GameCube or something like that.
Man. Mark said, but look how cool the baby birds are. They're wearing sunglasses.
What is this collection called?
Oh my goodness, that's so bad.
Oh my god.
I don't know. An Earthworm Jim looks like probably cool, but I mean, I've heard lots of things about Earthworm Jim, but just never played it myself.
Sonic Mega Collection. That's what it's called.
It's not even a Sonic game.
Hey, I thought it was. I thought it was like, oh, this is like a spin-off from like Birds That You Save or something.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know that this was like its own thing until now. Well,
really?
Until they announced this.
Alex said, "You're not a Sonic game, Parker." You're not wrong.
True.
Or are you? Hopefully,
I don't know if you don't
like
claim
Sonic
that.
games.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know if you want to claim that.
Oh man. All right. Yeah. Moving along. I'm looking. There's some whatever. There's some articles on Nintendo Life that I'm like, oh yeah, we could talk about that, I guess, but I just don't feel like it. So, the last thing that I have on here news wise is another game. Hyperlight Breaker was announced from it's Hyperlight Drifter, but it's a 3D open world kind of thing, or maybe it's not open world, but a fully 3D massive world, it says. So we'll see what that means. But
massive world definitely means it's not open world.
For yeah, sure. Otherwise they would say
yeah, there's no world. Doubt in my mind.
Yep. But I mean, it's looks pretty cool. I have yet to play Hyperlight Drifter because I keep playing other games instead.
Bob loves that game.
Yeah,
dude.
it was one of my friends.
Want to like this game.
Maybe.
Oh wait, hold on. This is published by Gearbox. Cringe. I don't think Bob's allowed to like this game now.
Oh, why do we not like Gearbox?
Because Gearbox is terrible, dude. Look in the Randy Pitchford.
Oh, I forgot that was them.
Terrible, horrible.
Interesting. Yeah, I mostly know about Randy Pitchford just from Jordan Fringe, and has at least multiple videos. I'm pretty sure where we Randy, and that's about all I know about Randy Pitchford. Actually, that's not all I know.
Wait, hold on. I'm trying to see if this is what gameplay looks like, because this game looks sick. No, it's not. Never mind. They did the Legends Arceus thing.
Yeah, I know. It's the cutscene or whatever. Yeah.
Boo. Once games look like that would be hype. I mean, see, the thing is, like, there are games that look like that.
Yeah. I think
just make the game look like that.
Yep. No, it's not. It is kind of far off from that.
It's pretty far. They like they ruin it a lot of times with like the textures. Like, oh, we gotta make this texture shiny, and that just throws off the whole like painterly like on one plane sort of image.
Yeah,
they ruined it. That's
Yeah, why
two
is
strikes for me.
that?
2 strikes.
Actually, a game that makes me think that does that well. Here, let me look at it and make sure I'm not just being dumb and saying this off the top of my head. Kind of, but like a
Arxis games do that really well. And Cyber Connect.
I was gonna say too,
That make the Naruto.
Sable or Sable in French.
I
But
don't know
Sable, just look up Sable game. And it's
game.
one that I feel like I haven't played it, but I've a lot of like, I don't know, Game Maker's Toolkit and those kinds of folks seem to say good things about this. Same people that like you know, the Outer Wilds and Breath of the Wild, that kind of thing. When's Outer Wilds going to come to Switch so I can play it without having to not play my Xbox? That's what I want to know.
True.
But yeah, I feel like this game does a good job of like, it's, you know, it's all 3D
Yeah,
models.
it kind of does it. It kind of does it.
But it's like, it has an art style that looks 2D in 3D. Even if it's not like the same kind of art style as is in the Hyperlight Breaker trailer or Legends Arceus or whatever, but at least, you know, it's going that direction.
Yeah.
Which I like.
It's committing to something that is more unique than what they usually do, where they like try to like, oh, we'll approximate this, and then it looks like super plastic and boring.
Yeah. Mark said the rise and fall of Parker's Xbox, just like the rise and fall of New Code. I just don't play. Okay, it's multiple things. One, I don't play on our TV very often. It just doesn't happen. Number two, I just don't get to play games that often. Also doesn't happen. And I was playing so infrequently that it didn't make sense to keep Game Pass to where now I'm not going to like go and get Game Pass again to make it happen. You know what I mean? So like, it's it's a tricky thing, but at whatever point I don't know, sometime maybe it'll happen. I never tried New Coke.
Same.
Alex said it was gross,
but I wouldn't go out of my way. I don't think I've ever purchased Coca-Cola a single time in my life.
Coca-Cola is like very different.
Coca-Cola, like for me, is like, I'll drink that, you know, like it's there, it's at a party or whatever, whatever. But like, I'm not gonna order it, you know. So like, I definitely have never had New Coke because I don't know anybody that just had, like, I never seen that on the bottle, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna order it. So like,
when New Coke, when was that?
Pepsi or Coke, AJ? I mean, if I was choosing between the two, probably Coca-Cola, but I'm not ordering either. I'm not a cola person. I'm getting like Sprite or something, you know.
New Coke was discontinued in July 2002, which was to the month when I moved to the States.
Alex said we're both too young for New Coke.
Okay, well, there you go. It was renamed Coke 2 in 1990. And yeah, no, I would have been, 11? No, 10 at the time. And when it was discontinued, and had just moved to the US or was in the process of moving or about to, I don't know, something like that. So never had a chance.
Yeah.
Can you still buy like unopened cans on eBay? Probably.
I bet you can. I feel like there's probably a good Mythical Morning episode about New Coke.
Yeah.
Seems like a thing that exists.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, this for $130, buy it now. Original vintage New Coke 6-pack, 6 cans unopened.
That's a bargain, dude. You can have New Coke that's not new. You can have old New Coke. That sounds like some hipster stuff that they would love. It does.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, Alex said, I think it wasn't even being sold stateside before 2002. So at some point before that, it was discontinued. Like, there you go. Why would you buy them open? I don't know. I mean, like, as a collector, you know, of cans or so. Okay, here's a story from my family. My grandma loved to like if somebody had a collection of something, or it's not even quite that broad. It was like, I had some Pez dispensers, and then she just started just getting me Pez dispensers, and then every time she'd see a new one, she'd get me more and stuff. So then I'd have, but eventually I had just way too many Pez dispensers. And I was like 14 and I was like, hey, Nana, I think I've got enough Pez dispensers. And it didn't stick. And then finally at 18, it did stick. But there's that. So, but in any case, so that's that concept. Same thing, but for my dad, it was like cans of like root beer cans or like different unique root beer paraphernalia of some sort. And he had like tons of stuff. And at this point, still, we were moving fairly frequently, like if not locations, at least like houses within the same, like in the time that we were in France, we lived in like, I don't know, we were there for 10 years and rented probably 6 or 7 different houses that just like had a 2-year lease and then et cetera, et cetera. So eventually he got rid of them and my grandma was very, very mad.
Wow, no.
Which, you know, makes sense because for her it was like a emotional thing. Is like, this is a connection thing between us. And he was like, it's just all these cans of root beer. So that's when I think of collections of cans, that drama is what I think of.
I mean, that makes sense. I'm very on board with the not collecting. So I'm not like, it's just too much stuff, dude. Like, come on, man. You know what I mean?
I mean, maybe if it didn't take up any space, like maybe if it was NFTs, you know?
Oh my God, no. Absolutely not. I don't get it. Like I get that it's a thing that people like, but me, I can't. That is not a thing I connect with at all. Cancel Parker.
Collect fewer cans, collect more cans. Says Mark. That's great. Oh man. So yeah, that's all the news things for today. There's probably some other bits that I forgot to grab or something like that, but for the most part, that's all of it. Actually, the news. Real quick, there was one thing from last week that I just straight up forgot to. I was scrolling through the getting timestamps and I was like, oh, I just didn't even remember to talk about that topic, but I think I took it out of. Yep, I just straight up took it out of here. So never mind. Don't remember what it is. Oh well. Alec, I'm free next week if you need a new co-host, AJ.
Nice.
I mean, AJ's stood by the fact that like probably if anybody were to get canceled first, it would end up being me, right? Was that?
No. Well, if anybody's I don't know. I feel like there's like reasons why both of us, like if we were going to get canceled, it would be easier for like, because I feel like I'm definitely more abrasive than you. And I definitely like will, regardless of how I think it will make people feel, I will speak my mind sooner than you would. So for that reason, I feel like I would get canceled sooner, but I feel like it would be easier to cancel you. You know what I mean? Like,
right? Yeah.
Socially, currently in the landscape of the world, it would be easier for you to get canceled.
And I think I would say it's not that I don't speak my mind. I think it's that I just don't have very hard and fast opinions on a lot of things. It's like if I have strong opinions on something, I'll definitely say them. But so many of the things that I feel on stuff is pretty fluid, you know, to where I'm like, I'm, you know. I get or not care about certain things.
Less about that, more like I don't. You would be nicer about it. Like, me, if I have something to say, I don't care about how it comes off. You know, like because obviously I'm not going to like my thoughts are not like inherently going to be mean, but like if somebody's going to take it that way, I don't know what to tell you. Like I'm not going to spend extra time trying to sugarcoat it for you. That's basically what I mean. Yeah. It's like the pear thing.
Like it's candied apple.
It's like I don't care how you take that, me saying that like I don't like pears or whatever, right? Like I don't care about that. I'm just gonna tell you I don't like pears.
And now we know. The truth comes out after all this time.
There it is.
Speaking of truth, what I dare you to tell me what games you've been playing, I guess is where I'm going with that.
There was something I was going to say about
I want to know.
Oh no, so I was I don't remember how it came up. But freaking Game Dev Tycoon, I was like, yo, I should download that on my iPad, and I downloaded that on my iPad, and that game's fun. But it's also not. but it's also not. And I was telling youth about that because I was like playing it recently. And I was like, this is a game that you were like, this is a quote unquote cozy game. And if you haven't played Game Dev Tycoon and you if you're interested in the history of video games and you don't care about like gameplay being, you know, like frenetic and interesting, this game is cool, you know. So like because the gameplay is like just a bunch of menus and sliders and stuff, so like that's what I mean by like the gameplay is not super interesting, but like the macro of it, of like you like find your own, you found your own game studio and you like develop games in like specific topics and genres, and like you decide like what is more or less important in the process of your game development. Like if you're developing an RPG, it's like, do I think dialogue is more important than the gameplay, you know? And like you put the sliders where you think they should be, and then you release the game, and then the games get reviewed, and then they sell, and then you make sequels, and you can eventually get big enough where you can make your own console and so on and so forth. It's an interesting game. It is on
that's cool
mobile, so it's on like Android and iOS, and also iPad, but it's also on Steam for Mac and PC, and I think Linux.
When with this game, so like if you get to a certain point where you like, you know, I don't know, max out your studio or whatever, if that's even a thing, does it have replay value to where you just start a new game development company and do like a different path?
There's a way to like min max it. Like the more you play, the more you learn, because it's like you make a game and then you study why the game did what it did, like gameplay wise. So like it like literally lets you select to like create a game report of like, okay, this is why this game reviewed in the way that it did. And then once you do that, if you learn like, oh, this genre does really well if you focus on the game engine, you know, like that sort of thing will be marked as like 2 pluses or 3 pluses or minuses or whatever. And that will help you develop the game, and like you'll learn like, oh, these audiences really like this genre or this console or whatever, right? That sort of thing. You can like start a new game and work with that knowledge playing the game, and it will have the pluses and the minuses, unless you choose not to do that.
Right.
Can I buy other player studios in the PC/Mac version? Yes, because there's mods and stuff. So like there's like mods where you can like sell your game studio or buy stakes in other game studio. It's an interesting game. I would say like if you're going to get it, like the better version is the PC/Mac version, because it does have the ability for mods like that. So yeah, you could do like mergers and stuff like that in those. But for the regular game, like just on mobile, which I'm playing it just on mobile right now, it just goes through like from the NES era, well, right before NES, really, right before NES up until like the generation after this one. You know, they like make up consoles, which is funny because they like call the Switch the swap in that game. Because they like slightly renamed everything. Like Nintendo is Ninvento. But yeah, if you haven't heard / played that game, it's on everything, and it's like $4.
Nice.
So if you're a fan of the industry, maybe check it out.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds fun.
Are you playing anything? I mean, I'm playing other stuff, but like,
here, let me check real quick to see if I think it's Kirby. Played a little multiplayer game called Tied Together right there. Nope, it's not going to focus. Oh well. Mitch Catherine came over last week at some point, and it's a 4-player co-op platformer where you're 4 platforming monster character things, and you're literally just tied together. So like you have to traverse some kind of platforming obstacle course as a group, and it is challenging, but in a fun way, so like, yeah, we had a good time with that. That was there was a demo for it on the eShop, so the plan was to like go through the eShop and pick a game together. So I put a bunch of games on my wish list just to like look at together and be like, this one maybe, or that one, but it was getting kind of late, so I was like, I had downloaded a demo for this one already, and we're like, yeah, let's just try that one. So we played the demo. There were like 4 or 5 levels in it, and then we just bought the rest of the game for like $2 or $3 or something like that, because it was on sale for like 90% off. And yeah, it's just fun and shenanigans. I will say there were a couple levels where it was like kind of getting frustrating. I think you can probably go back out and skip levels if some were like too frustrating. We didn't try, but there was one where I was like, I'm ready to be done with this one, because it was just hard to like get it to do what we wanted it to do. But I think you can just skip levels. So that's it. Yeah, if you're looking for like local co-op sort of situation, that's another fun one in the same sort of Ultimate Chicken Horse kind of duck game vibe. But then otherwise it's just the standards. Yeah, we've both played a bunch more Kirby. Do we want to talk about that?
I'm playing it on. Hold on. I'm trying to see. I think Game Dev Tycoon is also on the Switch now.
Oh,
so could be an option. But it is more money on the Switch. It is $15. So
that is always so interesting.
I didn't even know it was on Switch. But I was like, I feel like it might be, so I googled it, and here we are.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm playing more.
Download a demo for it, so you just start it out.
Is the demo available on there?
Yeah.
Cool. I wonder what the demo even. Oh, and that's the other thing. I don't like. This doesn't really matter if you're going to buy the video game, but they did something cool with like people that pirated the game. It's a pirate version of the game, and every game you make gets pirated. So it's like
that's hilarious.
It's like a super hard mode. Like, you can still probably play through the game.
Yeah,
but like it's not
like your sales are really bad and stuff because everybody's stealing from you and that kind of thing.
The swap tax in game dev time? I don't think so. No. I think the game, like the price of your game, unless you're playing like the PC version, because then you get the mods and you can set how much your games cost. But in the regular game, the cost of the game is determined by the size of the game. So like you start out
controversial.
You're making small games, and then when you get to a certain size and you move out of your garage, you can do published game. I mean, you could do medium-sized games by yourself, but they're not going to sell well because you have to have at least 100,000 fans for them to like do okay. But you can get a publisher and like all that stuff. Anyway, play the game. It's an interesting game, but I would say get it on, like I said, Mac or PC. But yeah,
I just downloaded the demo on Switch, so here I pressed the button and it's.
I wonder what the Switch version even does. Like,
I don't know.
Because like Nintendo doesn't usually like people putting, like older games on the platform unless they add something to it. So like, I wonder if they did.
I think Nintendo feels that way about them promoting games, like any games that they like talk about in the direct or whatever. There's so many just kind of shovelware games. Obviously, this one isn't necessarily shovelware specifically, but yeah, at this point, I think so many of the games are just the normal old game, and it's like it's the mobile game, but no ads, and so it's more expensive. Not that this one even has ads on mobile, but yeah, that is crazy that like they can charge $15 for this, whereas $4 on on app stores and stuff like that. I mean, it's true. $15 for a Switch game is like, okay, well, that's that's a reasonable price for a Switch.
It just seems weird.
Not too cheap, not too expensive.
It just seems weird for them specifically to do that, but just because like I remember like when the game first came out, they did like the whole like Minecraft thing, where it's like, oh, you own this game on like Mac or whatever, like you'll get every version of the game for free forever. And, like that sort of situation.
That's interesting.
But like I got the Steam version because I bought the Mac version before. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's just funny because like in general, I feel like the upper limit of console games is $60-$70 or whatever. Like that's like a full price game, and probably $20 is the equivalent of that on App Store. I'd guess.
I don't even know how many games cost that much nowadays.
I can't be much, but like if you bought a game for $20 or $15,
that would be like the $60.
It'd be like this is exactly like that is a full game. Like that's everything. So $4 is like a percentage of that, and $15 is the same kind of ratio of
Right,
like
right.
what it means about your game. Like, this isn't a chintzy little game. This is a real game, but like $4 means that in one place. That's funny.
But yeah, Kirby, I'll play it on the stream. I'm like, like 3-4 worlds in or something like that. I meant to like
Cat Lady.
Yes, I just did that, and then I unlocked the Coliseum and I beat up Meta Knight.
Yeah.
And then I played through more of the world after that.
Nice.
I want to like go through, because I'm not like completionist in this, but I might do that off stream. Like I might go back and like get all the Waddle Dees and whatnot.
I honestly have been enjoying that a lot. Because that is how I've been playing. It's like I'll play a level and I'll get most of the things and miss. I don't think I finished one single maybe one. I finished a level and the first time around gotten all of the secret things and all that. Like more often than not, I've missed one of the achievement things. So then I'll go back and get that, get the one or two that I've missed. And yeah, I've been having fun doing that, because it is funny to go back through to and be like, okay, I know where that thing was that I missed. And you can just beeline through these levels if you really want to. Like if your only goal is I'm gonna like win the level.
That's been me for the most part. I mean, in the beginning, like when I first started, I was like, yo, we gotta find all this stuff. And then eventually I was like, nah, I just want to play through it. And then it's like the closest that I got to like retrying something was when you were watching and I was playing the freaking Kirby thing and I hate it.
Oh yeah.
So dumb.
I love it. I was gonna tweet out the other day. I was like, I love this level, the Kirby thing. I don't, if for some reason the just the way it works out with me pretty well, and
the
like
turning makes absolutely no sense for me, because it's like you turn to a certain point and then it flips which way you got to turn the analog stick to turn the car. And I'm like, what the heck? Like I don't know what you want me to do here.
But I have that same thing, even like I love all the controls in Mario Odyssey except for in when you get to the Mushroom Kingdom and there's some underground challenge thing where there's basically little 2D Mario Galaxy things where it's like little moons or something that have gravity that you have to jump, and like running around them. It's like if you keep holding right, you'll keep going this way, but if you let go,
it's
you
like
have
you're
to
at
like
this point in this. Yeah, exactly.
That stuff is
before I got to that part specifically, Kirby felt great, but then once you had to like turn in a complete circle almost, that's when it was like, oh, okay, no, this is bad.
I think for me, like, I just never let go of the joystick, and I think that made it to where I never had to like give it a new input or something like that. You know, it was like it was right, it stayed relative to the car as opposed to relative to like the world or something, because I can imagine that being frustrating otherwise. But doing the I'll
probably never get that Waddle Dee. That one, probably not going back for that. But all the other Waddle Dees, I'll help him out.
Yeah.
Also, Travis convinced that we're the villain in this game. He's like freaking making a game theory in his head.
Oh.
That Kirby is actually the villain.
Is that Elfalin is the villain, or just
Kirby specifically?
Okay.
Yeah, because Kirby crash landed on their world, and he's like colonizing the Waddle Dee town. And I'm like, yo, this is the town. They had this town and it got destroyed, and you're helping them. And he's like, nah, man, you don't know the whole story. And I'm like, nah, that's cursed.
I love this. Yeah, I'm excited to find out how it all pans out. But yeah, all in all, like, game is there. It's true. Alex said they're in cages.
Colonizer Kirby. They are in cages, exactly.
I tweeted about this the other day, but like, I think the way that this game does challenge versus accessibility is just like perfect. Where it is accessible. They're in cages because the oppressor overthrew the oppressors. Oh no, the oppressed. Sorry, overthrew the oppressors. Yeah, so like, you know, even the little challenge level things, the ones that are 3 stars, like I could see those being a bit of a challenge for somebody that like, did you do the cone one? I think in the first world, maybe it's in the second world. It's one of the little
I
challenge
did
rooms
all
where
of them except for one. I like, again, this was a control thing, which I think I
Mm.
understand more now.
Uh-huh.
It was like the boomerang situation where you throw out the thing, you gotta hit all the things.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
That's like all the my like hangups for this game, because or not hangups, but like the points where I'm like, all right, I don't gotta complete this level. It's like
Right.
when
Yeah.
when the like how the controls are like function don't mesh for me. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, I don't
Because I
get.
mean, it keeps introducing like new, I mean, same as Mario Odyssey, I guess. It keeps introducing new little ways. Like, here's this mechanic specifically that lives exactly in this area.
Mhm,
And it doesn't necessarily always follow the same logic as the other
right.
ones because it's just so different from that. Like, I mean, Kirby, for example, like that's just different from
Mhm,
anything else that you do. So yeah, it makes sense that some of those would vibe and others just like wouldn't. I think I'm
mhm.
being stubborn and just like, if there's any that aren't working, I'm like, I'm gotta figure it out
Yeah,
until
I
I get
mean,
the thing.
again, I think that that's like a fundamental difference in how we play games, because I don't
Yeah.
care about completing it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't care. I just want to like play through it until I'm
Hmm.
bored. Um, but like you care more about like I want all the icons and the numbers and the
I think
percentage of the
until
video game.
as long as most of them still feel fun to
Uh-huh.
do, yes. At whatever point it's like it's more annoying than it is fun more often than not, then I'll
Mhm,
probably at that point be like, all right, good
mhm,
enough. We got it. So, but yeah, I mean, that's definitely in general right now my approach with it, especially because like I don't, um, I'm I'm working on stuff at night in the evenings trying to get other things done. So I pretty
mhm.
much play for like 15 minutes at a time. And so the little challenge room things are perfect for that and like
Yeah.
trying to get the goals or replaying a level. Like if I only have like 5, 10, 15 minutes to play, replaying a level to get other Waddle Dees or something like that is fun because like I don't have to really think about it. I'm just like, where's the snow animal that I have to
Mhm.
destroy or whatever. But yeah, I'm curious to see where the game goes kind of in the long run. I like the boss fights as well too, and it's fun
True.
going into the
There
different.
hasn't been a boss fight that I don't like
Yeah.
so far. Some,
Yep.
I mean, a lot of them you could just cheese though.
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
And like I
especially if you
went,
come into it with a power up already.
yeah,
Like you,
I'm gonna pull up something for the YouTube viewers. I went in with, I don't even know what this hat thing is, but you can get a hat that does just a whole bunch of damage.
the
Where
like the
is the,
nuclear explosion
yeah,
hat.
100%.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
just go in, and I had a fight against Chloraline or whatever. And okay, I think it shows it. Yeah. At some point here, I just charge it up. Well, okay. I'd started recording it too late, but or too early or something like that. And then I did like 90% of her damage just walking into her. And then the hat goes away and you have to do something different. But
Yep.
then, basically
It's a one and done power.
twice.
The last stream that I did was the first time I saw that. I was like, what the heck? I freaking did it inside of the shop.
Uh-huh.
And like how you can attack all the Waddle Dees and stuff.
Yeah. And they'll just fall
Like,
down.
damn. It's messed up.
Yeah, the game overall, just like it's got so many good little touches to it
Mhm.
as well. Like most ways that you want to interact with something, it'll be like, yeah, you can do that. It might
Yeah.
not be as deep as it is in Breath of the Wild or something,
Mhm.
but if you hit a Waddle Dee, he falls down, and
Yep.
like just various little things that feel like nice little touches
And I
of
thought,
love.
like, at first, I thought it was like, oh, that's because Waddle Dee, like that's Bandana D, like he'll get hurt, and then you go to the town and like all the Waddle Dees get hurt. I'm like, oh man,
Yeah.
that's messed up.
It's true. Yep. So I think I'm around the same point as you are. I'm in the snowy area at this
Mhm.
point.
Yep,
So
that's where I'm at.
yeah. And I like the area. It's fun. It feels like, I don't know. I like all of it. I'll have more deep
Only
thoughts
thing I
probably
don't
when
like
it's
is
all done.
Kirby so far, and that was a recent development.
Yeah.
Everything else is great.
I
9 out of 10. Kirby knocked it down a point.
do like Kirby personally. It's fun times. Yeah. Anything else you're playing? I don't think I am. I think other than like forgetting footage and stuff, that's pretty much it.
Am I playing anything? I mean, Smash.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'm playing anything else. Just Kirby and recent, like super recently, or like within the last 3 days, I like rediscovered the game Dev Tycoon, which I might get on Switch. I don't know. I gotta look into it if it's different in any way. I might do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
Alex said triangle strategy playthrough number 3. Man,
yo, that's 300% more.
Is it different
than me?
That's true. Is it different on subsequent playthroughs? That's what I want to know. I still, man, there's still part of me that wants to play that game. It's just so talkative.
I think Kevin Kenton said you have to. Yeah,
endings.
Kevin Kenton said you had to play it at least 4 different times. I watched his video on it.
Oh yeah, of course, because you get all the different people and the I
have no idea.
If you go
why.
all so there's I will tell you, mostly for other people that are listening and they want to know, in case anybody does. There's questions that come up throughout the gameplay that ask you, there's 3 different options for your answers, and they are I don't remember, but like one is based on, being, it's kind of like emotional, rational, and something else. It's those are not the right words, but it's that kind of a thing. Like equality, legality, and pancakes.
Sure.
Utility, morality. This is from Alex, so it's the right ones. And L legality, maybe L something, whatever. We'll find out. But basically, yeah, depending on what things of those you choose, you kind of like give reward points into those different, or you like stat your character differently behind the scenes in a way that you can't actually see. And then when you get an option to, when you meet certain characters, some of them will join your team based on whether or not you are somebody that has like loyalty. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I didn't play it. Whether your morality level is really high, like, somebody who that's their characteristic is really based off of that, then they'll go with you only because you have high morality or high utility or something like that. So I could see how, depending on what you do with those things, that would change the ending. And then I think Alec also said one of the mechanics is hidden until New Game Plus. So I guess there's maybe a 4th thing like that. I think there's some questions too that get like actually, like if your stats are particularly high in some regards, like you're not allowed to answer one version of the question because it's like it would be too unlike your character to answer. Could be making that up, but in any case, it's a cool mechanic. It doesn't seem like the kind of game that if I have 15 minutes to play a day, I will get. Yeah, will be rewarding to do that. Yeah. So until I have more than 15 minutes a day to play games, I will hold off. So yeah, Alec agreed. But cool, yeah, good stuff. All right, that's the games we're playing, and now on to Q&A. Here we go. Questions from Twitter. Actually, I'm going to check Twitter real quick, make sure nobody else dropped anything. Sometimes some just happen like last minute. Cool. So far, we're good. German San Juan asked, with E3 currently on hiatus with plans to return next year, hopefully, what steps would you take for their comeback tour / is it worth it? No, it's not worth it. The steps that I would take is I would be a different company and I would do E3 better. That's what I would do. Yeah. So you do want it back. That's what you're saying. No. No, you're saying like be like PAX do it or somebody else kind of take the reins. Exactly. Yeah. Not even Jeff Keighley. Like whatever. If Jeff Keighley does it, fine, I guess. Yeah. But like, I don't know. I don't think that he does stuff particularly great either, Yeah. Like he's like very reactive with how he does certain things, and that's kind of annoying, kind of opportunistic. Exactly, like how he did this summer games thing, and there was like the first NFT game, and now he's like, we're not doing NFTs at Game Awards, like taking this like noble stance. Like, dude, you literally announced the first NFT game I've ever heard of in my life. Like, and then it was like in the same breath, like, oh, we're still gonna like honor Activision Blizzard and all that nonsense. Like, I don't know if I'm down with him either. But just a different people pleasy. Yeah, just a different company. Yeah. Than the ESA. Yeah, not great. No, for sure. I mean, and hopefully I think I don't know that anything that he could do would ever particularly meet the like expectations or like the thing that the nostalgia of E3 is, you know, what people expect of E3 to be. Not even to say that that's what E3 is, but of what people expect E3 to be.
I mean, I think he could.
I
Just because the only part of it that people are nostalgic about is like it's the gamer Christmas, and he's already gotten everybody under the same roof to announce all the same thing. Like he's the reason why we got that picture of like freaking Sean Layden and Reggie and Phil Spencer. You know, like he can get everybody under the same roof and get them to all make an announcement.
I think that, that part for sure. I think the parts that I feel like probably couldn't is the like, there's the in-person stuff that like for, you know, some amount of people, like that's still an intrinsic part of E3, like going to the show floor, playing the game, seeing footage of Game Explain posts, like early footage with this game or something like that. And so I think that part is kind of like, that'll exist at some trade shows.
Yeah, that'll be PAX.
But
that'll be
that just won't
games. That'll
be
the like infinite numbers of conventions that we already have will replace that.
And I do hope that in some ways that some companies decide to take it up to them or whatever, decide for themselves to kind of do that. Not necessarily in person, like Nintendo has done some in-person stuff of their own before, obviously the one that you went to in New York and like you know this Switch one and other things like that since then.
Well, they do. I mean, well, they do it pretty often for press.
Yeah, sure. Right. Yeah, that's true.
Especially since they have Nintendo in New York. Well, less so now because COVID is COVIDing. But like they like have people come out to Nintendo New York to do like demos and stuff. And we're just their LA offices when they did that. And like, you know, they have offices where they fly out press and have them.
Yeah. But I think what I'd rather see is eventize the, you know, like the June Direct or whenever, you know, that kind of a thing, do some kinds of demos around then just for the sake of it. You know, like it's definitely not a need to have by any means, but it's something where it's like, all right, not everybody could come to E3 anyway. They're not going to be the same demos that are at E3 because those are very like, you know, supervised and it can be rougher there and people are able to, you know, there's all sorts of caveats where like, it's not going to be the same thing as that, but like the vibe of it, of getting to play some demos of some games that like are cloud streamed even or something like that could be a fun thing. But I don't think that's up to any companies other than the ones who own the games themselves. So yeah, there you go. Mark Erickson said, to be honest, I could go for 2 hours and 11 minutes of exhausted silence with an occasional, man, what a week. Just as a reset or something.
Yeah,
man, what a week.
Yep.
But also, if your diet could be only one food, could only be food of the same color, which color would you choose? #fanatixfour.
Does this wait? Are we talking about the outside of the food or the inside of the food?
That is a good question. And I don't. Outside, says Mark.
Outside? So like tan? Definitely tan. Like.
Yeah, I had been thinking about this when I saw it, and it's the same. Because like bread, cheese, chicken, French fries. Like there's, you know, it's not probably the best. I'm sure green would be the healthy answer.
Yeah, but that would be the boring answer.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you can have red meat. You can't have tomatoes or anything, but like.
Yeah, but red meat's not even red on the outside.
That's true. Yeah. I guess pre-cooked.
That's like brown. You need like
raw red meat. You are a canine. Yeah, I was also thinking I was going to call it yellow, but I think tan is more appropriate response. Otherwise, just eating squash and bananas all day.
Yep. Terrible.
Or just really gross looking.
Or lemons.
Right. Oh, I would eat lemons all day. Lemons are good.
Lemons are good.
It's fun times. Good question. All right. Falcon said, yeah, my question is, where can I get your crystal ball? You called the whole no E3 years in advance.
just gotta pay attention, man. You gotta pay attention and like divorce your like what you take away from it from what you want to happen and or what has always happened. Try to think about what makes sense given the circumstance, and it's usually not that hard to guess what will happen next.
I mean, I think, COVID is a big wrench in all of that. And like, I don't think even, if the ESA was perfect and blah, 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 like next year, I'm sure they could do E3, but it still wouldn't be back to the same as, the golden years, because COVID's not going to be all the way gone.
Yeah, and E3 was dying without COVID. It was already dying. It's been dying for years. So like it was an easy, that was a salt, like that was a, they like freaking lobbed that, like,
yeah,
that was the easiest prediction.
Yeah, and that's weird. It's assuming something happens around that week, which sounds like Summer Game Fest in general is going to start around the first week of June. That's 2 months away. That's so soon. I feel like we just got that last direct.
Yeah, this year's fake, dude. Just like last year. See, the thing is, like 2020 happened and that year was pretty fast, but 2021 was way faster, and 2022 is way faster than that.
It's every time I think of like, last year, blah, 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 I'm thinking 2020.
Yeah, exactly.
Like my mind just skips.
My mind still feels like it should be like June 2020. Yeah. Like it's like maybe July, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like conflate the two together because we brought our daughter home in last year in 2021, but in my mind we brought her home in 2020, I guess. Yeah. Still felt pretty COVID-y, so yeah. Jumpo asked, will you be seeing Sonic 2?
Yes. When? I don't know.
There you go. That's my answer too. Yeah, I don't know. We saw Sonic on Valentine's Day. We went to a dine-in movie theater, which again, like I've said, are few and far between. Specifically, there's literally one of them where we're at. And it was like they understaffed because they were like, oh, it's just a Tuesday or whatever, whatever day it is. Like, it's just Valentine's Day, and didn't think like everybody's going to be coming to a dine-in movie theater on Valentine's Day. So we didn't get our food until literally the credits of the movie. And then one of the things they brought us was the wrong meal as well. Some people didn't get their food ever at all. And we were like, okay, that's pretty bad.
I remember this because you had like a borderline terrible experience at both of the video game movies. And I was like, mine's is fine. And I went to see Pikachu, like Detective Pikachu, multiple times. Like I went to see Sonic twice, but I saw Detective Pikachu like 6 times because everybody in the world was like, yo, I gotta watch the Pikachu movie with AJ.
I saw it twice, and it was a good time, except for I don't remember what all happened. One of the times I think Ashley was sick, and so she had to go out to the car, so she didn't watch it. And then she watched it with me the second time, but my chair was like half of it was broken, so I was just sitting like at an angle the whole time. But towards the end of the movie, she guessed the reveal like 10 minutes early, and I was like, no, that's funny. And then it happened, and she's like, what? You said that was? I was like, I wasn't going to ruin the end of the movie for you. So that was a fun time. What a good movie. Good old Detective Pikachu.
It's true.
But yeah, I'll be seeing Sonic 2 at some point. Maybe at the drive-in. I don't know.
We shall see.
We shall. Pat Green, my next question is, do a backflip.
Okay.
There was a time in my life that I could. It was terrible every time. That was like, I had a friend who like went to state for nationals or something for gymnastics. And at some point he like kind of tried to teach me like, oh yeah, you can do it like this. Cause like, I just jumped on the trampoline a lot and like did tricks on the trampoline and broke my arm on the trampoline. Alec. Yeah. For audio listeners. Yep. I did it. Ooh, good.
Yeah, you did it.
Good backflip, me. But yeah, so after jumping on the trampoline, I was like, I'm going to learn how to do a backflip on the ground. And so I did, but like for me, I was like, yeah, I'm doing a regular backflip the whole time. And onlookers, I didn't realize this till later watching a video of myself doing it. But like, I most of the time I landed on my knees, not on my legs. And my head was like inches from the ground during the flip part. And I just never knew. It could have gone fast. Very terribly. Yeah, that was bad. So and one of like the first videos I uploaded to YouTube that I don't think it was to YouTube. I think it was to my MySpace page back in like 2006, was me trying to do a back handspring. And I landed like, instead of usually when you do it, you like have momentum. And so your hands like kind of guide you or like kind of give you a second wind, for the like one big backflip motion is like, woo, bloop, bloop. I did not do that because I just didn't really do back handsprings, I guess. I don't know. And so I just pretty much went like jump, landed on my arms, and then kind of like fell down or something. And in the video, you can hear my arm go,
oh no,
which is gross. It didn't break or anything, but it just like made cracking noises. So what a time. All that to say, I'm not doing a backflip. I'm old and fat.
Rib.
So
I mean, you did it. You did it.
Good times.
Good backflip, man.
Yeah, everybody else go do one now too. Yeah. Nice. Are you gonna do one, AJ?
Nah, I'm not the one that told the story about having a backflip. I'm pretty sure that was to you, because you said that was like the hidden.
Oh yeah, I forgot there was context behind this question.
Yeah, I think that was what that was for.
It definitely was. Good job, good memory, Pat. My brain is fried apparently. All right, and lastly from Discord, Grimhane asked, "What will we do without E3? How will we survive with just Nintendo Direct, Indie World, Sony States of Play, Xbox Live, third-party dev events, PAX East West, Summer Games Fest, Games Done Quick, too many games, and the VGAs to give us our gaming news? Is it surely the end of days, just like in 2020 when there was no E3 and the gaming industry crashed and burned? Or in 21 when E3 was just digital and the gaming industry became a spirit Halloween?" How many other events did I not remember?
There's so many. There's like most major cities have a convention of some sort. Like I know that there's like retro gaming expos in like a whole bunch of different places. Some places have multiple gaming conventions a year, even. So I couldn't even name all of them.
Yep. I don't even know about most of them. Yeah, like I learned about what's the music video game crossover one?
Music video.
I don't remember what it's called.
South by Southwest. Is that what you're talking about?
It's different from that. Gaming convention music. I don't know what it's called. I remember when we were at PAX, it had happened in January.
Are you talking about MagsFest?
Yeah. Yep. Music and Game Fest. I think that's what it stands for.
I don't know what it stands for. I just know that people do cringe there.
Oh no. Music and Gaming Festival. I don't know what doing cringe means in this context, but
it's just
all right.
a broad category of the terrible things that people do in the game industry. They do it there.
Oh, no. Yeah, well, I don't like that one bit. So and as I'm looking at pictures of this, it's definitely.
Can you see it? Can you?
I mean, I don't know that I'm seeing anything in particular, but it's just like, it's not I don't know. It felt more like down to earth music kind of thing. This feels more like concerts and stuff. I don't know. I don't know that I love it, but
I've heard horror stories about that,
no,
that convention. But
pretty much we're doomed without E3.
There's a ton of them. There's so many.
Yeah,
so many gaming conventions, and they could easily make more. Turns out,
true. Just takes money and someone to do it.
Exactly, and there's a lot of companies that have so much money.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? You don't even got to be $1 billion corporation, and we have many of those just in this industry alone. So
It's true.
there's that.
There is that. And that's that for the podcast with the asterisk of, did you watch the first episode of Moon Knight?
Yes, I did. Are we talking about that?
I'm happy to talk about it.
Okay, so here we are. Everybody.
So with that said, thank you very much for listening. If you don't want to be spoiled or whatever, Marvel, blah blah blah,
like, comment, subscribe, do all the podcast stuff. Tell your friend, tell her mom's grandma about the podcast.
That's an old lady.
True.
Tell your mom's grandma.
Yeah, she probably likes Game Dev Tycoon.
She loves Game Dev Tycoon. She was the original game. She's Miyamoto.
True. She does. She knows just as well as anybody else that a good game is game for games.
Yeah.
That's the quote.
That's the quote.
Okay.
Yep.
Everybody that cares about spoilers should be going.
Yep. Also, this isn't even spoilers related, but just because it happened last week, man, all of this stuff coming after the Will Smith, Chris Rock stuff things.
Yeah.
What a week it's been.
Yeah.
Here's
that situation got cursed super quick though.
So much. Yeah. Here's my opinion on it. There is no realm in any realm that I'm going to ever be in either of these people's situations or whatever. So like, I don't care. Like, I mean, I do in like some regards, but like in the sense that it's like one person did this and another person did that. It's like, it's hard to like, it's just easier to be like, I don't know, don't do that again.
My takeaway of it is like, I think they both did something wrong, but like, I feel like, am I mad at either? No.
Right.
No, like I'm not like, would I have done what Will Smith did? Probably not. Do I understand why he did it? Yeah, I get it. Would I have made that joke if I was Chris Rock? No. Do I get why he did it? Sure. But I will say the one thing that tips it over a little bit for me is I don't like the comedian culture of like people feeling like comedians should be able to say whatever they want without repercussions. Right. And it's like, I mean, he said it. Nobody stopped him from saying it. He just got repercussions. There's a cause and effect, it turns out. And he didn't like the effect. And that's, that's whatever, like, I think some people need to get beat up more, like Ian would say. So, like, it turns out that's what happened.
I think, the funny thing for me is, or not the funny thing, but like, it's just not everything needs to be something that is setting precedent for everything else. Yep. You know what I mean? Like, that's the biggest thing for me. It's like, in the end, this was two people, like with a huge stage and like lots of caveats with that. But like, when it comes down to it, I don't feel like everybody needs to have an opinion on it. So my opinion on it is that not everybody needs to have an opinion on it, which is fun.
True. Moon Knight.
Moon Knight. He hit some people, that's for sure.
He did hit some people.
We didn't see it happen most of the time, but it happened.
Which is kind of confusing. Like just how this whole thing is cut, it's confusing. I get it, but like at the same time, I'm like, all right, like you could have like shown a little bit, shown something. Especially like I don't know. I feel like they want you to be confused and be like, what's happening? But I'd like know what's happening. I could put two and two together that he is not him. When he like he is him, but he is not him, and there's other things going on in his head that he is not abreast of, but I am. Like
that is an interesting thing, is like, because in Memento, for example, which is a sort of a similar, have you seen Memento?
No.
Okay. Do you know about it at all?
No. I know it is a movie.
There you go. So yeah, it's Christopher Nolan who made like the Batmans and stuff, but also like the Prestige and whatever, Inception, all that. Basically it's a guy with short-term memory loss, and you start in watching like his latest memories, and they tell kind of one story, and then you start seeing everything that happened before that, and then that zooms up. So like you see the last 5 minutes, and then you see the full last 10 minutes and the last 15 minutes, and pretty much every time you go back, it like recontextualizes the things you've already seen to where it's like, he thought this was a lie, but it was true, or this was true, but it was there, any of that kind of stuff. And that was done really well to keep you on your toes the whole time, where you don't know as a viewer what's going on the whole time. Where this is like sort of trying to do the same thing, but it's not trying super hard to make us confused as a viewer. And I'm generally fine with that. But yeah, I do think it's funny that like there's that disconnect where like Steven is super confused and rightfully so. And we're like, yeah,
it's like, yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Got some people, going on. There's so that, but yeah, I mean, still I'm enjoying I'll be most interested to see, I think, the outcome of that and like how he interacts with himself, like the characterization portion of that, less than the mystery portion of who is he, because I think we kind of, especially from trailers, and we know that,
and so comics exist and stuff. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yep. It's nothing new as far as that part goes. I mean, it could be, they could, do some twists and turns and stuff. But yeah, that was a fun bit anyway.
I know the bad guy, he's thrown off. This man freaking played the water cup and drunk the cup and broke the cup and then put it in the shoes and then walked on the shoes. He's crazy. He is insane. He's an evangelist.
Yeah, Alex said that scene was visceral. Very much so. Just like, I could, even more so than like watching the Office episode where Pam has to walk on hot coals and stuff, because you can kind of just like imagine like, oh, hot coals, no big deal. But like just the glass was like, it was very mentally crunchy, and so it's obviously that, cinematography or whatever. But yeah,
and the fact that they shot that super slow and like intent, like they show like it stayed on each step of that long enough to be like, and he drank the water, he broke it, and he put that in. Oh, he's gonna. Yeah.
Like, no, don't do that.
Exactly. But yeah, man.
I think so far, I guess I realized I don't have that many thoughts because like not that much has happened yet. It's like setting up a lot of stuff, but like, I don't know. Ethan Hawke, his characters. Wait, Ethan Hawke, right? That's the actor's name.
Who? Which one?
What's his character's name?
Because I know Moon Knight is Oscar Isaac. That's the only one I know by name. That's it.
The glass shoe guy.
Yeah, him. That guy. I don't know his name though. Him. Bad guy.
Maybe we don't yet, actually. I guess not. Maybe from comics we do, but we do.
I don't know his name in the thing. I was just saying I don't know his real world name.
Yeah, he's one of those still, like, I've heard the name Ethan Hawke around all the time. I've never seen him in anything that I'm aware of. And it's one of those where I feel like I'll say that to somebody about various actors, him
and they're
possibly
like,
included.
He's in this and that and this.
And I'm like, and I've seen none of those. So that,
that's exactly how I am. That's why I don't know the names of almost any actors. they're like, oh, so and so. I mean, it literally just happened. You asked me, I don't even remember who you asked me about, but you asked me about something. And Memento. And I'm like, no, I never saw that. I'm like, I don't watch things. I almost didn't watch this, but then I was like, I mean, I'm already invested in MCU. Gotta not confused.
It's true.
I literally watched that today, before this.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes. The vibe is fun. I guess here's my only hope with it, as compared to some other ones, is just that it covers ground. Not necessarily quickly, but that it just doesn't dawdle or something. Because I feel like some of those shows like don't have.
Which one is this? Like a 6-episode situation, or like
so? But they're 45 minutes, so like that's not too bad.
Yeah, aren't this? That's why I was like this. Yeah, 6 episodes. Because 45-minute ones feel like they're the 6th episode, and then 30 minutes are like the 9-episode situation. So I'll watch it.
We'll see.
We'll
find out.
Obi-Wan happening towards the end of this.
Like, maybe so. I'm not keeping up with any of those anymore. But Obi-Wan does. I mean, Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan's going to have laser swords, so I'm watching it.
Yeah, I know. I said that to
That's
Ashley,
my criteria.
Like AJ mentioned this, and I fully agree. And she's like, "Oh no, you're totally right. That is what it is." I was like, "Okay, yeah."
I'm glad I'm not alone.
Yeah. they're just not fun without laser swords, you know?
It's true. I just
'Cause
don't
then
care when there's no laser sword.
They just feel kind of too grounded of sci-fi movies or something like that outside of that still, you know, like where I think it's been said that it's like they're kind of like samurai movies or whatever.
Mhm.
But it's like then if you have a samurai movie without the actual samurai in it, and it's just like now it's a movie about Japan or something.
Exactly.
Like feudal Japan.
And it's
like that's all right. I was here for this.
I'm not here for that. I just want the guy to do the flip and then push the man with the invisible energy and throw the sword at him and it comes back. That's what I want. And then I want him to like dance around with it.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Oh man, the invisible energy thing made me think of I hate when hate's a strong word, but when something like recontextualizes something and makes me realize how bad a certain bit was, specifically that I was watching VFX artists react and they were talking about Matrix Resurrections, and they pointed out that like Keanu uses just like a generic force push kind of a thing a lot in the movie, and it's because, you know, he's older or he just didn't feel like it or something. But like instead of having like real stunts or something in those bits and like a cool thing, it's like now the force. And I was like, yeah, that was really lazy. And then, you know, now those moments feel particularly bad.
I didn't even watch that because I've never seen a Matrix movie ever. So I was like, when that whole thing was happening, I was like, what am I watching this for? The only thing that almost made me want to watch it is like all the people be like, the woke brigade making movies again, ruining my cinema. And I was like, I kind of want to watch it now, not gonna lie. But I was like, nah, I'm not watching 3 movies to watch 1 movie. Nah, I'm good. It
was fine. It was very forgettable in that, like, first movie, great. Second, third movies, you know, have bits and pieces that are cool about them, but then also are a little hit and miss in other ways. This one, just like when it was done, I don't think it knew what it was about, because I definitely didn't know what it was about. It didn't really land on a specific, like, you know, moral of the story or anything, but it tried to, is what I feel like. It's fine if it just doesn't, but it feels like it kind of tried to, and just like, I don't know.
It's like, I don't know, man. It's a Matrix movie.
Yeah, right. I've seen somebody point out maybe that all of the Matrix movies, and this one included, is kind of a narrative for like a trans narrative, which maybe, I guess, I mean, which makes sense with the I forget their names. Wachowski, that's the ones. Which, I mean, that makes sense, but I think it just didn't nail the, like, I feel like the grounded part of the metaphor has to make sense as well as the, like, cerebral part of the metaphor for it to, like, you know, work out. So it feels kind of like it was phoned in at the end, where it's like, and now how do we land the plane within the movie? We don't. We'll just do the, like, the, you know, land the plane thematically, and that'll work. So it was fine, you know.
Nice.
Yeah, all in all, movie.
So I've never seen and will probably never see. There's a lot of that, man. Yeah. Literally, I think the only, like, big franchise, like, nerd culture movie thing that I have seen all of, as far as, like, the trilogies and all that crap, is Star Wars. That's literally it. All the other ones, never seen a single Harry Potter movie. Never seen a single Lord of the Rings movie.
Oh.
Nope, never seen a single one. What are the other ones?
Here's what I'd say. I think you could feasibly watch and enjoy just the Fellowship of the Ring. Like, it's, but
the thing is, do you think I would like that? Like, do you?
So I actually do.
Yes. You do? Okay, why?
Yeah. Because of the characters and that kind of stuff. A bit less, like, obviously I also love the, like, you know,
high fantasy in the world.
Yeah, high fantasy kind of thing. But, like, in terms of the characterizations and stuff like that, Alex said 100% no. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I could see you liking it for those kinds of reasons. Because it's still just like a good story, you know, outside of the other bits. But I think that Fellowship of the Ring, that one feels more like a beginning to end story on its own, knowing that like it keeps going, but like arc wise, you feel satisfied at the end of it. It is technically the beginning of their adventure. So like at the end of it, they're like, and now we'll start doing the real thing, you know, bringing the ring to Mordor and stuff like that. But if you could just know that like, and then they brought the ring to Mordor and just pretend that like all of it works out in your mind, they're like, yeah,
Parker
you know,
is
that's a
projecting
3-hour movie.
and I feel for him, but no.
I mean, yeah, you're probably right, but
I don't know.
Fun time.
I don't know, man. Plus the movie's mad long.
Yes, and that's why I was saying just one of them. That's the shortest of them. At 3 hours or 2 hours and 45 minutes or something like that. How long is the Ship of the Ring? 2 hours and 58 minutes.
Mad long.
The
thing, and also like that's the thing. Like freaking Endgame feels long. And I care about that.
Yeah.
You know, like if I don't care about it and it is like also like similar length.
Yeah. I think so again, like, and you know, I think caring about it probably is a big part of it. This one still, especially for me, of the three, because the last one of these, Return of the King, feels long, and it is long. It's the longest of them, but it has like 7 endings. And so by the end of it, you're like, oh my God, just wrap up. But this one is the one that the most feels like every part of it needed to be there, you know, and it's just like that's the story they told, and like, you know, it's taking a really big
I definitely
can
see where you're coming from. Like I do care about like narrative structure, like from a creative end. Like I think about that stuff a lot, but like if we're thinking about this on a pros and cons,
right?
I think there's more stuff contributing to it that I actively don't care about that will take away from the rest of it. Like the fact that like me playing Diablo or listening to Bob play Diablo, I heard how the dialogue was. Like I heard the like old timey like high fantasy sort of like elven accent, and I was already checked out. like that sort of stuff is like, and that's a demerit there. And that's minus 100 points. You know? Like,
yeah. And I mean, I think this movie succeeds in the sense that like if you're ready for the vibe that it is, which is just like just kind of, you know, for the most part peaceful and stuff with like there's some things that chase them and that kind of stuff. There's conflict for sure, but then especially 3 hours doesn't feel all that long. But if you're like, you know, get to the point, man, then I don't know that it gets to the point, you know, necessarily quickly. Alex said, I got so mad at Return of the King, 7 different endings. I had to pee so bad, and every time it ended, I was so excited I would get to go to the bathroom, and then the movie would keep going. Man. I mean, King Kong was like that as well. Also, Peter Jackson.
I never saw that.
Yeah, that one, man. Like literally, that movie ended halfway through that movie. And it's a 3-hour movie, so an hour and a half in, I was like, okay, good job.
Is King Kong 3? He's a big monkey.
It's man.
There can't be that much depth. I'm sure of it.
It was ridiculous. Yeah. So that one, and then I also saw Australia, and that one did a similar kind of thing. Alex said I left, peed, came back, and it was still going. Wow. Yeah, that's saying a lot. It's that ending is long.
What movie have you seen and would want other people to watch? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for listening, everybody. Hope you had a good time. Later.